Good afternoon, dear partners. Extremely happy to be with you once more for this brand new webinar. Just a few announcements, and we'll get started. This is a very busy webinar, a lot of information to actually share with you. Thank you, Lyles. So, don't know if you've had the opportunity yet, as of yet, to actually register to the best and I guess the most yeah, I'll say it. I'll say it. The best IT conference in all of Canada that will be happening on May 7th in Toronto. It's the Altitude 2024 convention. If you haven't had the opportunity to register, please note that it's absolutely free. So just so you know, it's free to you, and we're gonna get to spend some great time together. We have many really amazing guest speakers. I'm going to have the opportunity to speak and network with you, so extremely happy about that. Some of the subjects that we will talk about: cybersecurity, AI, Copilot, um, one Copilot in particular, but I'm sure that we're going to be also talking about Security Copilot, but cocktail prizes and the Partner of the Year award winners. So extremely happy. Hopefully we can see a bunch of you and get the opportunity to network. If you haven't had the opportunity to sign up, just go ahead. Uh, Places are limited. We still have a few places left, so we'd be extremely happy to see you. And I was told 22 days from now, so that's amazing. Now we're going to be talking about Copilot. So one of the most important things about Copilot is the ability to actually crunch and get information off of your own data. And to be able to do so, we have a fantastic promo right now, which are free BitTitan licenses. So these licenses are going to help you move um, your customers to Microsoft 365. So whether we're discussing whether it's emails, whether it's files and folders and documents, just go ahead and take advantage of this great opportunity to get free BitTitan licenses. If you need more details on that, you could reach us at partners@itcloud.ca. Usually there's like a link on this slide. I didn't add it in, but or I didn't add the right slide. But if you ask us, most of everyone is actually aware of that, and it will be available, and you can take advantage. These are while quantities last and up until January 30th. So hopefully you take advantage of that. And with no further ado, let's start and talk about the Microsoft Copilot universe. Myself, over the past little more than a year now, I've been overwhelmed with so many new Microsoft products, right? So I'm sure you've heard about Copilot for Microsoft 365. You've heard for about Copilot for GitHub. Might have heard of Copilot Pro. You might have heard of Copilot for Excel, Copilot for Word, Copilot for PowerPoint, Copilot for Sales, Copilot for Service. So a bunch of Copilots. And I thought I was be, and when I was looking at this, it's like, man, this is so much stuff to talk about. And I'm pretty sure I've had a hard time myself for keeping up. And I told myself it'd be really nice if we could actually break it down. We won't be able to speak a whole lot about all these co-pilots, but my objective is at the end of the day, you be able to understand what each of the co-pilots we're going to be discussing is able to provide for you as a partner and to your customers. Now, let's talk about the world today. So the world today is rapidly evolving. I think that there's inflection point right now, and within this inflection point, there's a few things that you should be able to ask yourself as a partner and also as far as your customers are concerned, right? So number one, there's some businesses that are going to decide and leverage this technology, this great AI technology, and take their business to a whole other level. And some customers and some partners are just going to decide to, you know, do as if, every, anything is normal, everything is normal and continue. So what I see or what I imagine is in a few years from now, some partners which have decided to leverage these technologies and some customers are going to experience tremendous amount of growth. And when I say tremendous, I'm not talking about two or three folds. I'm envisioning 10 to 20 folds. And I actually had a slide that I removed because we don't have that much time to be able to discuss that actually showcased that. And it's very easy to understand the different effects of different technologies, right? If you're looking at, in the 20th century, mobile phones took 16 years to get to 100 million users. The internet took 7 years. Facebook took 4.5 years. It took only 3 months of ChatGPT. And it was really apparent, last year around that time, well, actually, even way before that time, I would say, 14, 16 months ago, I remember being at dinner parties and people, talking about, how ChatGPT was this thing that they used to, write this speech at their, father's party or something like that. So it's funny that mentioned that. I just remembered last weekend was my father's birthday party, and somebody mentioned my mom wrote a speech and she's not, she doesn't like to speak in public. And then my brother, I, asked her, "Did you use Chat GPT to actually write this, mom?" That was real funny, but because the only thing I think that my mother um, likes, doesn't like as well, doesn't like as much as writing a speech is probably technology itself. So I'd be very surprised if she'd done that. But I mean, times are changing, and people um, are going and using these technologies, and they're evolving at a very rapid pace. And here are some information that Microsoft has shared with me. Um, a couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go to Redmond with a few partners. We were able to discuss directly with the product groups and with some Microsoft executives. Oh, what are the early findings on Microsoft 365? Well, obviously, there's a tremendous amount of uptake. There's a lot of people that were waiting for this technology to transform their business. And at the end of the day, there's a few things that you have to remember. So, in terms of value, um, unequivocally, people are just more productive with Microsoft 365. In terms of being more effective, people are more effective and they're able to find and process information a lot faster with Microsoft 365. And as well as if you are, working with Microsoft 365, you're also able to start off with, with a base of information if you're creating a new document or you're being creative, instead of having to start from scratch. One of the things that I've noticed is for myself, this technology takes getting used to. I think it's a new skill set. I've even had the discussions with my teenagers and young adults at home. I said, this particular skill set of being able to prompt, be able to use AI, is something that people are going to be looking at in future employees. And even as myself, right? We're seeing all these great um, figures here. You're seeing, how much people love Copilot. They wouldn't go without it. They would trade free lunch, for a Copilot license, all these things. I think it's real, but I also think that people really need to understand how to use this and how to leverage this tool. I think a lot of partners have gone out and offered licenses, and customers also have asked for to get these licenses, and people are maybe not getting trained enough or spending enough time understanding how to leverage these tools. That's one thing. The other thing also is that the promise of Microsoft 360 Copilot for Microsoft 365 is probably higher than what it is today. What do I mean by that? Some of the features that were that are showcased don't work. I wouldn't say exactly, or not, maybe not as defined as they should be. So my understanding is, hey, Copilot as it is right now is the absolutely worst that it will ever be on April 11th, 2024. It's only going to get better. Myself, I'm actually learning on how to leverage it, and I'm specifically talking about Microsoft 365 Copilot, or even the Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, which is free and included with your browser. So I think that there's a lot of things for us to do before we actually get proficient in using Copilots. That being said, Microsoft has provided a Copilot experience for different job functions. I think when you think about a Copilot, we're really referring to an assistant. Somebody's going to help you on your day-to-day job to be more effective, more productive at what you do. And for that, Microsoft has created an experience for professionals in customer service, in sales, professionals in security, software developers, data and IT professionals, as well as knowledge workers. I would consider myself a knowledge worker. I work with tons of information and tons of data. And I can tell you the Microsoft 365 Copilot stack has improved my way of delivering products. And I can be perfectly transparent. Part of this presentation, I was able to deliver and also produce with the help of Microsoft 365 Copilot. And what's going on? Okay, I'm going a little too fast here. No, I'm not. It's just bugging a little. So, in terms of Copilot family of products, and that's kind of the way that I'm putting it right now. It's very easy to understand because once we go through the presentation, you're going to understand that whether you're talking about Copilot for your business applications, Dynamics 365, or Copilots to develop, uh, you know, um, developed automation or apps through Copilot for Power Platform, Copilot for Microsoft 365, with the multiple Copilots that are integrated into the M365 apps, the Copilot for security, right? That is integrated within the different security suites and products. When you really think about it, and Copilot for Windows and Copilot for GitHub, each one of these Copilots actually includes a family of different products. So you're just getting here, we're just getting the tip of the iceberg here. We're really not, and once we go in there, you're really going to understand. So, number one, this question I get asked many times: what is the difference between ChatGPT and Copilot? Because a lot of people don't really know the difference between that. And to be perfectly honest, I didn't really have all the I didn't really have all the right answers when I was asked. I was trying to find my words, and I think that Microsoft does an awesome job here of explaining that. So number one, Copilot is a natural multimodal interface. What does that mean? Is that when you look at ChatGPT and you want to generate text, it's amazing. But if you want to generate images, and it's funny because yesterday I was playing around, we were talking about this new product, new service that we're planning on launching, and hopefully we're going to be able to share that with you in a few weeks. And I was like, hey, how do we, and then I started playing around with Copilot, and it generated the logo, generated a tagline, all these different things. And that's just within the Copilot tool, right? If I was using ChatGPT, I would have to use ChatGPT, DALI 3, and other products to be able to come up with the same results, right? It's a complete Copilot is a complete multimodal, um, interface to be able to um, have that, conversation with the large language model, right? It's grounding in multiple data sources. If you're leveraging ChatGPT, you're just looking at the web. When you're working with Copilot, it's actually looking at internal and external sources of data, right? Part of the presentation I was building, I was saying, hey, look at the web, but also look at this document that I'm asking you to use as a basis of finding information. Well, let me really, be completely transparent. I was trying to get more information on GitHub and Copilot for GitHub, and I was like, okay, how am I going to explain this? I've got this PowerPoint slide that has all this information, and you've got the web. And funny enough, when I was trying to generate it just off of the web, the information it was returning wasn't quite interesting or wasn't as complete as what I was looking for. Very generic. Once I told the Copilot, hey, I'm grounding the information not only on the information I have, grounded on the information that's on the web, grounded specifically on a PowerPoint presentation I have, and can you synthesize and summarize the information specifically for a presentation I am going to showcase in a webinar specifically for IT service providers? The result was astounding, and you're going to be able to see the results, and hopefully you're going to be able to give me all the credit for that. And then again, there's the ability to have responses or based off of what's been asked, right? So once you've created this great content, what Copilot can do is it can generate other questions you can ask it. So you have a better and interesting experience, and it's a lot more richer than if you're just using ChatGPT. And I think that one of the most important things, and that's why I always encourage our partners to do, is not only test it for themselves, obviously, but also to tell their customers that if you're using ChatGPT, the information that you're getting or that you're leveraging, for instance, is used to is not only is non-encrypted, but it's also used to train the model itself. If you're leveraging Copilot from Microsoft, it's not used to train the model. And I'm actually going to share something with you that I didn't even share this morning when I was doing this in French. So you guys are getting the scoop here. So if you want to understand exactly how Copilot works, because when I was in Redmond a few weeks ago, it's like, okay, so you're telling me that Microsoft is not using our information to train the model. So how is the model getting better? So how are you using this so that it's getting better? So then it really started explaining it to us. And they said, okay, so basically you've got ChatGPT 4. You got the large language model that's been developed by OpenAI. Microsoft has the copy of that model inside the data centers. And once and then they've got and whatever it's generated and it's running. And then when you're using Copilot, it's actually interacting with the copy of the model itself, right? Now, Microsoft is not using your information to do it, to feed it, but all the people that are using ChatGPT, the free version, are actually using it and making it better. So then when that happens, eventually when they get to ChatGPT 4.5, then Microsoft takes that model that's been, worked and it's refined, and they're copying it to the Microsoft data center, and then we're using that new version of it. And meanwhile, people are not necessarily using even the latest version of ChatGPT for free. They've got to pay to get the latest version, which we're actually getting included in the price of our subscriptions. So that's kind of the way it works. And I found that was some really relevant information. When you think about Copilot, there's flavors of Copilots. Obviously, there's different products, but there's Copilot for individuals, which is the one which is free, that's available in Microsoft Edge, but there's also Copilot Pro. So if you don't hear us talk about Copilot Pro often enough, it's because it's a consumer product. So Copilot Pro, if you're using, and I'm myself, I'm one of the how can I say this? I'm I'm a consumer user as well because for my family, I have uh, Microsoft 365 for family. I guess that's what it's called. So if I were to use it for my kids, for instance, and given I wanted to give them the opportunity to be able to do that, they would get Copilot Pro, right? Because they're students, and they would leverage it, or maybe more my wife. I'm sure that Microsoft has some Copilot for students. It's probably closer to free, but that Copilot Pro, which is for individuals, which IT Cloud does not resell, is also integrated with Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote. But if you're looking for organizations, so you've got Copilot, the free version, which is also good for organizations, which also protects your commercial data. But you've got Copilot for Microsoft 365, which is integrated with all these products that you've seen, as well as Teams, and is grounded in the Microsoft graphs. So what does that mean, grounded in the Microsoft graph? It means that all your information, whether you're talking about your Outlook, your Word, your Excel, your OneNote, and all that information has context and has sense for your individual or for your team. So the when you're asking questions, it's always asking or understanding where you're coming from in relation to the data itself. Now, if you're talking about Microsoft Copilot, in the Copilot family, you also have Copilot for sales and Copilot for service. These are what Microsoft calls Copilot specifically for job functions or for roles. And Copilot for sales and Copilot for service actually includes Copilot for Microsoft 365. If you have Copilot for Microsoft 365 and you wish for a specific user to upgrade it to Microsoft Sales or Microsoft for Service, then you pay a little extra. And if you're paying attention, I'd love to see who can say how much extra you would have to pay to actually get Copilot for Sales. Maybe I can get some reactions there. So, in the Copilot for Microsoft 365 family, you see nobody's writing. I guess either you're not willing to participate or you're, mathematically challenged. Uh, we'll see. We'll see who answers that. So you've got so you've got Microsoft Copilot for sales, and you've got Microsoft Copilot for service, which both of those are part of the overall Microsoft 365 Copilot experience, but understanding that these are focused a lot more on functions such as people in sales and people in service. And then um, you have the foundation being Copilot Studio, and we're going to be talking about a little more about Copilot Studio. So Copilot Microsoft for Microsoft 365 includes all the great things that you understand about the large language models and the leveraging of the internet itself, but also is grounded and it's leveraged with Microsoft Graphs, which includes all the relations in between the different data within the different products that you have, right? Um, it was essentially the context of you. And then you've got it integrated with the Microsoft 365 apps. You've got your enterprise grade protection and also the ability to leverage Copilot Studio. Now, a general understanding, and I really like this slide because when you purchase Microsoft 365 or Copilot for Microsoft 365, you don't really know what it includes unless I explicitly. You hear that it includes Copilot, but the Copilot experience is in all these different products, right? So you've got the chat, right? So if you have it, you understand that if you hit the Microsoft 365 icon, you've got the Copilot chat experience. You've got Copilots and Teams, you've got Copilots in Outlook. Meanwhile, I have to say this because a lot of partners talked about it in the first presentation this morning. Copilot in Outlook is actually works really well with with the new version of Outlook. Now, please don't be too surprised. I know that it's people who don't absolutely love Microsoft or the new Outlook as of now. I'm actually learning to love it right now because that's what you have to use to leverage the full power of Copilot in Outlook. So you've got some functionality in the classic Outlook. I was able to find that, but most of the functionality is for the new version of Outlook. You've got Copilot for Word, Copilot in PowerPoint, and so on and so forth. So that's your experience within your Copilot for Microsoft 365. Here you've got your Copilot Studio. Very interesting because I was trying to understand and have a good how can I say good understanding? Well, it is a good understanding. I'm just so why would you leverage Copilot Studio? I think that the most important thing to understand is that a Copilot is an assistant, right? So if you're looking at somebody that's assisting you, that's helping you with your task, the more that person understands who you are and what you do, the better that assistant is. With Copilot Studio, you're able to tailor that assistant not only within your Microsoft experience, but what's even more useful is outside of your Microsoft experience. And if you look at Copilot Studio, you have more than 1,000 plugins right now with external data sources that enable you to actually augment that Copilot experience. As an example, if I were to ask Copilot for information on, that was just a real example. I'd love to understand or know who are the top partners that are the most successful partners with um, Azure this month. That have sold the more the sold the most Azure. That I can't really use that, but I've consumed more Azure at their customers. It'd be very difficult for me to have that information because it's hosted in different systems, right? Part of it is hosted in our enterprise system. Part of it is hosted in our accounting system. With Copilot Studio, I could be able to create a prompt and tell that if you're asking for financial information, you would find that information in this particular data source. If you're asking operational information, you can find it in that particular operational data source. And then Copilot would actually grab that data and get back to me and give me the information, and I could be able to use this in natural language, right? So I think that the best way to explain is to actually show a video on it, and I'm gonna show a short little video on Copilot Studio. I think that actually sums it up. Really, it's the opportunity to be able to integrate out and create your own copilots to have a personalized experience for your users. Now, I just remembered while the video was playing, I didn't. I need to go back and say what's the difference between the different products, right? So here, just so you know, if you already have Microsoft 365 and you pay an extra $27, and then I guess it's 10 cents here, you would be able to bump it up to Copilot for Sales and Copilot for Service as well. But most importantly, and I think it's very important to mention it, that if you purchase any one of these SKUs, that there's a, it's for 12 months right now, and specifically for Copilot for Microsoft 365, it's $488, close to $500, and it's a 12-month commitment payable upfront. So very important. Yes, Joyce, $27.10 difference exactly, and that's the exact difference that you need to pay. So you can upgrade the SKU and go for Copilot or the add-on to go to Copilot for Sales and Copilot for Service. Um, so one users have Copilot for Sales and one for Service? I don't think so. I think it's function oriented. So I'm asking myself that question. So it's an add-on. Wonder if Microsoft lets you have multiple add-ons like that. I wouldn't see why not. Be able to take that. Um, so let me move over to Copilot for Sales. So Mathieu is asking, why get the add-on if you can build your own Copilot in the studio? Well, first of all, the Copilot, well, you could build it, but it wouldn't be as broad as the one that you have. And then there's also a price for Copilot Studio. Copilot Studio is not free. There's some functionality in it. The other thing also, as you can see in the Copilot for Sales experience, it's a whole lot more complete. It's a complete experience. So your Copilot that you would create yourself would probably be more limited, would have more limitations than what it is. So I guess I'd answer that question just like anything, right? Why pay for it when you can build it yourself? And there's time associated with that, and there's expertise as well. So when you look at Microsoft Copilot for Sales, it's all the great things that we talked about, but it is fully integrated with the following data sources, whether you're using Salesforce or you're using Microsoft Dynamics, you're able to get some insights, some content, and some recommendations based out of your data that's sourced within your CRM system. So let's go to a little video that will explain that. So just playing around in the chat. But that being said, here I think the most important things to understand is that your Microsoft Copilot for Sale is actually built to be an AI assistant for your sales team, right? Being able to view opportunity summaries, analyze sales conversation. I think some of the most compelling things I've seen in the presentations or in the demos were relating to hosting a meeting with a customer, seeing different sentiments, understanding exactly where the conversation is going, action items, summarizing the conversations we had with the customer itself. So being able to update also the CRM. So one of the things that salespeople actually hate to do is update the CRM. So your Copilot for sales would be able to add that information right, pick that information either right from the emails and put it in and suggest to put it directly in the CRM. So these are some of the great things that you can do. And when you really think about it, it gives you the ability to accelerate the sales cycle. And if you're able to accelerate the sales cycle, it means that you can sell more in less time, which in turn means that you can actually increase the amount of revenue that you're generating. So definitely a time saver and also a productivity boost. Now, Copilot for Service will do the same thing it does for salespeople would do it for customer service professionals, right? Be able to resurface knowledge information. I think it's specifically when you think about IT itself, when you're getting questions from customers and or issues, being able to find that information fast, right? A lot of us have knowledge bases, and trying to get the information out of the knowledge base is, a chore in itself. Think about an email coming in and you know what? Let me just put the video instead of describing. I think they're going to do a much better job than I did. See, I told you guys that the video would do a better job of explaining, what I was telling you. So essentially, when you think about it, is an assistant for customer service, people professionals, being able to get information right when you need it at your fingertips. So you're getting an email, and then you have the Copilot suggesting answers and drafts for you, being able to contextualize a specific questions and have Copilot search the information in the knowledge base and returning it directly to you, being able to do that. And also, as I mentioned before, using it within a Teams call and having it summarized and getting the right information to the right people. So a tremendous tool being able to help you out. Now, you've also have Copilot for finance and for professionals in finance. Again, think about all the different tasks that you have, menial, repetitive tasks that you have if you're a professional in finance, and what are the things that Copilot can help you do. So I'm just going to use the small little video here. As you can see, Copilot for Finance, again, giving you the ability to do more with less, right? I think that, and we're going to discuss this a little further with Copilot for Power Platform. It's just the ability sometimes to do certain work that you don't necessarily have the expertise or the time to actually get the information. And here, what you have is Copilot helps you do that without necessarily having all the information that you need, knowing that you have this assistant giving you the information or being able to do it a lot faster. So, Copilot for Cloud Platform, can you imagine what it gives you the ability to do? So, just have a short little video here that explains how you can leverage Copilot for Power Apps or Power Automate. So, Copilot and Power Apps, essentially, you're telling the machine what you're looking for, what type of app do you want it to build, and it actually builds it for you. Well, that's a promise, right? I don't know if we're exactly there as of now, but really think about it. If you're basing it off of an Excel spreadsheet and you're asking it to do specific things, and it gives you the basis of actually building that application itself and it's low code. So it means that your time to actually develop so much faster. And these are concrete solutions that you can build for your customers. And I've been having these conversations over the past few years with the customers saying, hey, you want to differentiate yourself with your customers, build custom personalized apps for them. And I know that maybe you weren't there a few years ago to be even to create the low code, but think about what you can do with an assistant like Copilot for Power Apps. And my understanding is that today it's available at no extra charge because right now it's in public preview. I did have a question that parts of it are available, and how do I get Copilot for Power Automate or Power Apps? I need to double check, but my understanding is it actually came with Microsoft 365. I might be mistaken, but I can certainly share that information later. Same goes with Power Automate. Being able to create your workflows with natural language. I've had to the fun of having to create workflows, and it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do depending on what you're looking for. They have amazing templates and there's great information online, but just to have the integration of Copilot within Power Automate gives you the ability to do things that normally would have taken you a little bit more time, and just to be able to streamline the whole process. Copilot for security. That's a special one, right? I was very interested in understanding exactly how Microsoft would implement Copilot within the security. First and foremost, I have to tell you, I know that there's a lot of buzz and a lot of people are excited at that, but it's not targeted at our market, right? It's not specifically for the SMB. It's not for SMBs. It's marketed today for large enterprise businesses. But the promise is that, and we've seen this time and time again, is that once the Microsoft has either made enough money with the enterprise or they've developed and understand how to rationalize it and make it make sense for the SMB and for MSPs, that it trickles down market. And I think that sooner rather than later, we're going to be able to see some form of um, Copilot for security and tools such as Microsoft Lighthouse, and be able to implement and ask questions within your Defender experience, maybe within your Intune experience, within your Entra experience. All these things, which are targeted at the enterprise today, are going to be super interesting things that we're going to be able, maybe in a few months from now, maybe a year or so, to our, whether regardless it's to our SMB customers or ourselves to be used as IT professionals. I'm looking forward to that. Here's a short little video that describes what's available in Microsoft Copilot Security. So, as a security professional, one of the things that you could literally ask Copilot to actually help you, even if even if it's just helping you set up and making sure that you have all your ducks in a row, right? How can I improve my security posture? What machines are affected after there's been an incident? Can you summarize what just happened? Can you create a script for me? Can you tell me about a specific incident and what it means for my business? So you actually have somebody, or an assistant. I think that furthermore, I've put a little bit of emphasis on that, but I'd like to put a little more. You can, even if you don't have the senior expertise at every level, right? You have one top security guy inside of the business, but you have maybe people that are more of a security junior, that can actually do substantial amount of work without having to require the expertise of that senior. And there's multiple experiences. There's the embedded experience, which is directly in the product itself. And then there's also a standalone experience, which, there is, that product itself, that Copilot for security, where you can, ask and the different prompts. But, if you're right within Defender, if you're right within Intune, you can ask questions within context. Also wanted to talk about Copilot for Windows. It's a very interesting understanding exactly what's Microsoft vision for Copilot for Windows, and essentially it's what you see for your browser. I think that it's the evolution, what you see in your, I mean, what you see in your browser, Microsoft Edge, when you see the Copilot that's on the web. But I think that the most important thing is to see Copilot as the evolution of what was Cortana, right? Essentially your assistant. So you're able to either leverage AI to actually use it, create content, ask questions, or make configuration changes or settings right within Windows itself. And you know, Microsoft is leveraging AI and a lot of applications that you use, whether you're thinking about video editing, photo editing, creation tools, and things of that nature. So you're going to see as this product matures that it's embedded not only in the operating system itself, but also in the Microsoft applications that are within Windows 11. And last but not least, wanted to showcase a product that's been out there for a little more than a year now, right? So Copilot for GitHub, and I've had the discussions with developers saying this is best thing since sliced bread. And they mentioned one thing that I remember when I was in college, I had to do is I was writing code, and one of the things that people were adamant about is if you're writing code, you have to put your comments so that people understand exactly how you wrote this specific function or procedure and how it's to be used and all that stuff. And my understanding is that Copilot for GitHub actually will do that for you. Um, you know, the ability to actually write code for you, interact, and as well as find information within knowledge bases. So as you can see, it's really a product that actually helps you become a more polished developer, I would say. I'd say that you're junior and then you become a senior developer, but it enables you to save time and be more productive. So we've come to an end. Love if you've appreciated this presentation, or if you have some constructive criticism to say, hey, Steve, you could have done this better. You don't speak loud enough. You're giving too many quizzes or things of that nature. Please feel free to write the eval, and hopefully, you have some suggestions. We can get better. If not, thank you very much for your time, and we appreciate you. We have tons of great content that's coming up in the next few weeks. So hopefully, you can be a part of it and also participate. Um, we're going to be again at altitude and just in Toronto in the next 3 weeks or so. So hopefully we get to see you. I've got a question by Patrick here. How do I sell this to a client without looking at his at it as fancy search for now? Well, Patrick, if I haven't done if you're asking me this question, maybe I haven't done the I've done it. I um, haven't done it justice, because goes a whole lot further than search when you can ask it to create documents based off information that has been created before, right? I can ask it to create a PowerPoint presentation based out of a document, or create a proposal based out of notes that I've taken from OneNote. So we're talking about being able to generate content based off things and information that are either based out of my emails or based out of a PowerPoint presentation, a Word. So ChatGPT might be considered as a fancy search, but Copilot is so much more than that, so much more powerful. And if you've one of the things that I would ask is if you have the opportunity to test it yourself. So if you haven't tested it and tried it yourself, you might get that. And if not, maybe I didn't do a good enough job, and hopefully you're going to be able to come at altitude. And we're spending we're going to spend quite a bit of time on Copilot, and hopefully you'll get all the information you need to be able to talk talk about it to your customers, maybe a lot better than I did today. So thank you. Have a very nice afternoon for those who are in the Eastern time zone, such as myself. And for the rest of you guys, have a wonderful rest of the day, or rest of the morning, because it's still morning for you. So thank you. Any questions? I didn't look at the Q&A. Oh, Jeffrey asked if this slide deck will be available. It'll be available. It's usually It just takes a few days, and it's in a portal. So that'll be in a portal. And any other questions? I think we answered. Okay, excellent. Have a nice day there, everybody.